Do you want the right mindset to help you solve very hard Sudoku? I'll show you the logical steps you can take to solve extreme rated puzzles that others would think are impossible. Click below if you want to give this puzzle a go, and with that, it's solving time. We're going to forego here in block 5. You have these two 4s and these two 4s. The only place the 4 can fit is right here in the center. Greetings, friend. This is the first of my Cracking the Classic series, where I solve and analyze classic Sudokus originally featured on Cracking the Cryptic. Mark Goodliffe solved this extreme puzzle using a quite unorthodox method. I'll show you how to improve upon Mark's logic and adopt a winning mindset when it comes to extremely hard Sudokus. First, though, you have to find as much restriction as possible using Snyder notation. Look in block 1. Where can the 1s go? These two 1s and this one, there's only two possibilities for a 1. So with Snyder notation, anytime you have two possibilities for a candidate in a 3x3 block, you mark it. In case we solve one cell, we solve the other right away. Snyder notation is very important in this solve because it's going to show you some neat restrictions you can use to figure out this extreme strategy. And it's also going to show you just how difficult it is to find more restrictions in this puzzle. All right, where else can the 1s go here? Look in these two 1s and this one. You can do Snyder 1s in block 8. You look at the 2s with this 2 and this 2. You have Snyder 2s right here. We move on to the 3s. We got something interesting going on with this 3 and this 3. The 3s are only in these two spots in block 2. With these 3s have another function. They're a pointing pair. And what I mean by that is since the 3s are restricted in block 2 to column 5, a 3 can't be anywhere else outside of the block in that column, because if you put a 3 here or here, you have no place to put a 3 in block 2. And so now it restricts the 3s to these two cells in block 5. And these are actually a pretty critical pair that you need to keep track of. I'll show you why here in just a little bit. We can also use this 3 and this 3, create a pointing pair of 3s here in block 9. And what's neat to note, and this is something that Mark Goodliffe noted, is that the 3s are restricted to these 3 cells here in block 6. We're going to come back to block 6. It's the key to this puzzle. After the 3s, you look at the 7s. We don't have anything else with the 4, 5s, or 6s. With these two 7s and this 7, Snyder 7 is right there. And I'm going to give you a little bonus tip. With this 7 and this 7, you might notice this 3 and 7 are in row 8, and the 3 and 7 are in column 9. They have the same restriction here in block 9. And whenever you see this, Snyder on top of each other, you have found a hidden pair. What it means is since the 3 and 7 are restricted to these two cells, no other candidate can be in those two cells, because you have to have one of them be a 3 and one be a 7. So we can remove those marks, and you'll see with this 1 cutting across, now you can actually make a solve for a 1 right there. Put some Snyder 1s right here. And then this ends up being a 2, 4, 5 naked triple. All right, this is something that Mark Goodliffe found pretty early on in the solve. You can remove a 4 from there and a 2 from there. I'm going to highlight this in pink because the naked triple in the block and in the row acts as a pointing triple. And so a 2, 4, 5 can't be in any of these cells. These have to be a 6, 8, or 9. And we can do a little bit better. With this 8 and this 8, you can solve for an 8 right there. And then with the 6, you have Snyder 6s right here. And so we're going to have Snyder 8s right there. Very important to note that the 8s are restricted right here. And I'll show you why in just a little bit. And then with these 8s, you have 8s here in block 4. All right, looking at the 9s, with this 9 coming up column 7, you have a pointing pair of 9s in block 3. So 9s can't be here, and they can't be here because of this 9. And so you also have a Snyder 9s here in block 6. Again, more restriction here in block 6. The 1s are restricted, the 9s are restricted. And now with this 3, 7 hidden pair, the 3s and 7s have to be in one of these 3 cells here. I'm going to do something a little different. This is not Snyder notation, but I'm going to show you that 3 and 7 have to be here. This all builds up where you use the extreme strategy. I'll remove this naked triple, and we're going to do a little bit more solving here. Because this next cell I'm going to show you will release a few more solves before you get hard stuck. You need to notice is that you have 5 cells filled out right here. A 1, 2, 4, 5, 7. Puts a lot of restriction on column 4. And then you have a 3, 6, and 8 right there, all look at this cell. So since you have 5 in the column, 1 in the block, and 2 in the row, all different, you have 8 digits. Look at this. This can only be a naked single 9. That's the only thing that can be there. A little bit harder to spot would be that this is also a naked single now. Because you can't be a 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or a 9. This cell has to be a naked single 3. And I cover how to find naked singles in my Sudoku solving guide. You can download that for free from the pinned comment. And this 3 is nice because now it allows you to disambiguate the 7, 3 here in block 9. And now, since a 5's got to be in one of these squares, 5 can't be here. You got this 5 covering these cells. We know that we can remove this 1, solve that for 1, and you have a 5 that goes right there. We got a 2, 4 naked pair to finish row 7, and we need a 6 or a 9 here in the block. Well, that 9 means the 9 has to be right here, displacing that Snyder 6. And we're going to be able to fill out a naked pair, 2, 7 to finish row 9, and this is a 6, 8. Very critical 6, 8 pair right here in block 8. And now this is a spot as far as you can get with traditional methods. You got to go to extreme strategies to take a little bit creatively to move on in this puzzle. And before I show you what you can do, I want to hear from you. What did you do in this spot? Please let me know in the comments. Share with the other viewers what creative methods you found to solve. Hopefully you didn't give up. Help me grow the best Sudoku community on YouTube. It starts with your comments. So what Mark did is he started focusing here on block 6 because the 3 and 7s are restricted to these green cells. The 1s are restricted here, the 9s are restricted here. And what he did is he looked and said, okay, I got a 2 here. I got a 2 there. The 2s have got to be in one of these 3 spots. And so he was able to figure out through bifurcation, basically running through and finding a contradiction that 2s couldn't be here, so this cell had to be a 2. I'm going to show you something a little bit better than that. Because if you tried to put this in a computer solver, it throws up a bunch of forcing chains. It throws up a bunch of grouped altered inference chains. Really hard strategies to get through it. But as a human solver, you can find something a little better. And it's related to a strategy that I've used in some other puzzles. And it's to focus on these 2 cells right here. Okay, I'm going to color those in green. I'm going to get rid of these green. I want you to focus on these 2 cells. What they can be is a 5, 6, or an 8. Can't be 1s, can't be a 2, can't be a 3, 4, 7s, because the 7s are there, and they can't be a 9. What you need to ask yourself here is there a situation where this becomes a deadly pattern? And what I mean is you end up breaking the puzzle if you have a certain assortment of digits right here. And it all relates to these other cells right here I'm about to highlight. These cells right here, which can be a 3, 6, or an 8. These 2 cells right here, they're all related. You notice there's 8s, there's 6s, there's 3s, and there's something going on here you need to know about. If this was a 6, 8 naked pair, what happens? If this is a 6, 8 naked pair, now you have the 8s here in like a mini X-wing. Hopefully you see that, which means these cells cannot be an 8 because an 8's got to be here and here or here and here. Throws the 8s down here into a claiming pair. And it makes this a 3, 6 naked pair. What does that do? This 3, 6 would force this to be an 8, force this to be a 6. And you're like, okay, Timberlake, no big deal. Why are you showing me this? It's because these 6s now also form a nice mini X-wing. So 6 has got to be here and here, here and here. And since that's the case, now a 6 has to be one of these 2 cells, in block 4. And since you have a 6 here, this cell ends up being a 6. And then with these two 6s and this 6, you'd have a 6 right here. And with these two 6s and this 6, where do you put a 6 in block 2? You can't put it in any of these cells. I'll put them in red. Because of this 6, it can't be here. This 6 can't be here. And that 6 can't be there. No place to put it. This is called a deadly pattern. You have to avoid this pattern in order to make progress in this puzzle. So what that means is one of these digits has to be a 5. And the strategy this is related to that I've seen before is in Autogon. I'm going to remove the colors here. And I'm going to refill this as a 3, 6, 8. So a Sudoku Autogon is basically you look and go, okay, if I create a deadly pattern, what's that going to do to this puzzle? If I break the puzzle, that pattern can't exist. So I got to break it somehow and avoid the deadly pattern. And the way we avoid it here is you have to put a 5 in one of these cells. You put a 5 in one of these cells, you avoid this deadly pattern. Knowing this is a 5 is now going to help us take the next step in the puzzle. We're not done. There's a lot going on. If you want to learn more about Autogons, check out this tutorial. So what we got here, since the 5s are right there, and you have a 2, 5, 9 in column 9, the only place left to put a 5 would be right there. And then with this 2, this has to be your 2, that has to be your 9. Okay, once you do that, we're going to be able to make a little bit more progress. So you got this 5 means that's a 4, and that's going to be a 2. The next step is a little tricky. And you have to kind of look up and go, what kind of pressure are we putting on this column? Now that you have a pointing pair of 5s right here, you have a 4 that you just put right there, what can this cell be? Can't be a 1, 2, 3, 4. Pointing pair of 5s, can't be a 5, 6, 7, or an 8. This has to be a naked single 9 now. And that's critical that you find this naked single 9. Because what's that going to do for you? It's going to allow you to put more pressure along row 1. And the reason you want to look across row 1, you might notice this cool little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in column 3. And then you need is a 6, 7, 8, or 9. You look in this cell, you got a 7, 8, and 9. It's pretty easy to see it. This is a naked single 6. It's the only digit that fits right there. And once you put that as a 6, we can do a little bit more solving. Because with this 6, you can actually solve this cell for a 6 now, allowing this to be an 8 and a 6 right here. Move the 6 from those digits. And then if you look up here, you might notice that you need a 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish row 1. Well, you have the 4 and a 5 right there. You got the 3 right here. This is a naked single 2. And now with this 2, 4, 5, this has to be your 3. You got an 8, 9 right there. With this 8, here's your 8, and here's your 9. So we are making some progress here. We're not done. With this 2, you got 7 here, and you got a 2 right there. And then you might notice you need a 6 and a 9. With this 9, that's a 9. That's going to be your 6. And then with you see how you have the 8s now restricted to rows 4 and 5 here in blocks 4 and 5. That means the 8s are a nice little mini X-wing, as I call them. So these cells can no longer be 8s. 8s have to be down here. And this is an interesting situation, kind of a bonus tip. Whenever you see Snyder on top of each other with other digits, you can remove those other digits. So we can remove that 3, remove that 7. So what you'll see is you have a nice 3, 7 hidden pair right there. And you have a 1, 8. Now it's going to be a naked pair right here to go with our 5, 6 naked pair here in block 6. So now we found pairs for all these extra digits. And then we know that this is going to be a 5 or 7 now. And you might be going, okay, Timberlake, where do we make progress from here? And the tip is now look at where you can go in with the 9s. With these two 9s, you can actually look and go, okay, I got a 9 here. 9's going to be in one of these spots. But with these two 9s and this 9, so I have a 9 right here in block 1, means this has to be a 9 in block 4. Just placing that Snyder 8, so you're allowed to solve the 8, 3, disambiguate that. Disambiguate the 3, 7 right there. Looking nice. And then you can kind of come back and you can do a little bit more solving. Look across here, you need a 5 and a 6. This 6 is going to allow us to clear up almost all these cells right here, right? Because this 6 means that's a 5, that's a 6, that's a 5. Call that my right angle trick. There you go. There's a 7. There's a 5 right there. Look at that. And then what we have right here is a 2 and a 6. Well, this 6, I'm going to solve that for a 6, solve that for a 2. And now we're going to be able to disambiguate a little bit more. There's a 2 and there's a 4. Nice. And then with these two cells, you just need a 3 to 7. I got my 7 right there. So there's a 7, displacing the Snyder 7. You have the chance to displace the Snyder mark, do it, because you can get a solve right away. And you know, this now has to be a 3. And then with this 3, here's your 3 displacing that Snyder 1. And with these two 1s, you got a 1 here. Means that has to be a 1. Disambiguating the 1, 8 right there. Let's just follow the 8s. This is what the experts do. Follow the 8s. With these two 8s, got all the 8s knocked out. All right, what's the next digit? I don't see a 4 across here. That's got to be a 4. With these two 4s, there's your 4. I don't see a 5 in block 3, so that's going to be a 5. And your last digit is a 5. Check out this next video to see how I improved another one of Mark Goodliffe's solves. Thank you so much for watching.